Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Dwarf Fortress, a collaborative LP series. And as we left off last time, we got some more migrants. Yes, we got some more migrants, and we pressed on with our dining room level. If I get there in a minute, there we go. Pressed on with our dining room level, the kitchen, the still area, the fishery, and some more bits and bats, and we started to get our dining room smoothed out to make it that much more appealing to the dwarves. And we also managed to almost finish our bedroom level. So we made some good headway there. Today's session is going to contain very minimal gameplay. It's going to be about the dwarves initially. We're going to, once again at the start of sessions, I like to just look at what's changed with the dwarves, and also go through our new companions that we've got arrived, so go through their sort of preferences, thoughts, and learn a bit about those guys. Once we've done that, we're going to continue the game, but due to the fact that it is the 13th of Timber, late autumn, winter is coming. It really is. It's just round the corner, and the trade caravan should be coming within the next 5 minutes of gameplay time, so it's not going to be much time for gameplay. We're going to go through the dwarves, then go through the trade caravan. That should take us into winter. I'm going to end the session there, and my final session will be playing through winter and just tidying a few things up, ready to hand over this the second year to the next LP in the series. So 2 more sessions to go. This is a penultimate session. Let's crack on with it. So at the last session, most of our dwarves were content. I think we had 11 dwarves. 11 dwarves were content. Nobody was overly ecstatic. I start this session and I noticed that we have 4 dwarves that are slightly more happy here. So if we go to the Dwarf Therapist program, we can see that the dwarves that are slightly more happy here are Dopey, Karnak, Tyrion and Ulnan. 4 of the founding fathers, 4 of the founding 7 seem to have had their spirits lifted. Now Ulnan has had her spirits lifted due to the fact that she's admired some lovely buildings. She's dined in a legendary dining room, which is the dining room we're making at the moment. Legendary status already reached, it appears. And Dopey pretty much, not Dopey, is it Tyrion? Tyrion pretty much the same. Decent meal, satisfied at work, etc. So those 2 just loving life at the moment. But the reason why Dopey and Karnak here have had their moods lifted, yes, they've also had some of the nice food and the nice dining room experience, but more predominantly they have made friends with each other. So if we go into here, we go into U for units, and then we check out Karnak, for instance, with V, R for relations. We can see that he's now friends with Dopey. He started out friends with just Tyrion. He's now befriended Dopey, the brewer and cook. So friendship's blossoming here between the founding 7, and will this develop into something more? They started out as long-term acquaintances, now friends. What's the next step? Relationship perhaps? We'll have to keep an eye on that situation and see if the relationship develops any further. So it's friends being made. So those are the only changes to the initial founding 7. Everything else pretty much as it was. So the first wave we got, we'll go over those next. We got Grimlock, we got Glod, we got Nizek, and we got Sandal. They were the next 4 dwarves on the into the Braided Bolt. I remember reading through their descriptions and taking a look at them, and on the comments page after the session was finished, somebody noted that there could be a bit of a problem with these guys. They could be vampires. Now I didn't know anything about vampires at the time, so it meant nothing to me. I'd never seen vampires in action. I know that they suck the blood of dwarves, more than likely killing them. I know it's not a good thing to happen, but I wasn't aware of how to spot them. So after being informed that these guys could be vampires, what I did, there are ways to cheat and look, but I don't want to do that obviously. But there is ways to investigate. There are little signs to look out for that sort of give the game away when it comes to vampires, and to assist you in spotting them. So I'm going to go through those little nuances here. One of the things that vampires have as a giveaway sign is the fact that they might have come from a variety of different groups. They sort of flip between group to group. And I remember reading, was it Glod? It might have been Glod, let's have a look. I remember reading that there'd been some of these dwarves that in the first wave had been members of different groups. Braided Bolt is a former member of the Pick of Boats, former member of the Trust Creed. Only 2 for Glod, it wasn't Glod, it must have been somebody else. But yeah, I noticed that a couple of them had maybe been to 3 or 4 different groups before now. That's not a good sign. Another telltale potential sign is that they might have a spouse that's not part of the fortress. Usually they come in pairs. If they're married, they bring their husband or wife with them. I think it was it Glod who was married to Melville Boltslate? They had 3 children together, but then Melville hasn't come with him. So he's been a member of a couple of different groups. He's got a spouse that doesn't come with him. This is not a good sign. This is 2 pieces of evidence that suggest this could be a vampire in disguise here. But more telling about vampires is that they don't need to eat, they don't need to sleep, and they don't need to drink. So if they start eating, or they get moods about having a good meal, or have a mood about having a good sleep, or a bad sleep, or, eating in a good dining room, it means that they're less likely to be a vampire, because vampires don't eat, drink, and sleep. So if we have a dwarf that's, got many different groups that he's come from, maybe his spouse isn't brought with him, maybe he has a long list of children and siblings, a long list, and he's not eating, drinking or sleeping, then all those bits of information combined together might just point towards the fact that you've got a vampire. So as we look towards to the next 4 that we got, we start with Grimlock. We can see that he's come from 2 different groups, the Considerate Syrups and the Tongues of Miles. He actually has had a pretty decent drink, so he's had a drink. So it's unlikely, and he's also slept. So given the fact that he's slept and he's had a drink, I'd say that he's not going to be a vampire, so we can discount him, I'm assuming. As I say, I'm not an expert on this, I might be wrong. Then we go to Glod and we go to the same thing, and we see that he's also dined in a dining room. So he's possibly eaten. He's also slept as well. So again, even though some of the signs were suggesting that he could be a vampire due to the fact that he's come from a couple of groups, his wife hasn't come with him, potentially there that he's not going to be one because he's eaten and had a drink. We look to Nizek. Nizek is a mechanic. She came from former member of the Lash of Discoveries, former of the Robust Labour, former member of the Cheerful Flags. That's 4 different groups she's come from. That should be pinging red warning signals here. But again, we look here and we see that she had a fine drink. She slept as well, so perhaps she hasn't quite got the traits there to be a vampire. Perhaps, I don't know. As I say, this is me just surmising a bit of reading that I've done. So far I'm thinking that we might be just safe here. And then finally, Sandal was the final dwarf, and she's had a fine drink. She slept as well, so again I don't think she's going to be too much of a danger. So just a little bit about vampires there, what to look out for as warning signs. A way to find out for sure would be to create a burrow, which I haven't covered at all, to be fair, and you can force them into the burrow by creating a military with them, have them go into the burrow, lock the door on them so they can't get out, and basically wait for them to get thirsty or hungry. If they get thirsty or hungry after being locked in a room for a period of time, they can't be vampires, because vampires don't get hungry and thirsty. If they can last there for an extended period of time, not getting hungry, not getting thirsty, then you've probably got a vampire on your hands. But I'm not going to subject these to quarantine because they've eaten and drunk and slept, so I don't think they're going to be vampires there. So that's just a little bit about vampires. Moving on then. They have another 4 dwarves. This is the second wave we had in the last session. We've got 4 more friends, dwarven companions, to assist us in setting up our fortress. Now the first one is Bronzebeard. Bronzebeard is being named by Workache, I think is how you pronounce the name. He is our metal worker. If we go to Dwarf Therapist, I think it's slightly easy to see. He is going to be our metal worker. He's good in metals crafting, blacksmithing, armouring, weaponsmithing, furnace operator. Although he doesn't have any skills in terms of labour, if we go to the roles we can see that he's high percentage in all of these stats pretty much. He's here 70s and 70s, 80s, so he's pretty good in the metal crafting industry. So that's why I've put him there for now. Also made him a second wood burner to assist Glod in that respect. So that's him. We also have Ambrose. He is a good doctor. He's got a couple of traits in there. And also, if we go to roles again, we can see that he's also good in the other areas of doctoring as well. So he, when we get a hospital set up eventually, would be a good candidate to be the chief medical dwarf. So that's him. We also, and Ambrose has been named after one of my characters from the medieval Total War, the legendary King Ambrose, conqueror, tyrant king, epic king, killing people. Now he's going to be healing people instead. Totally opposite to his counterpart. And finally, the two females of the way, we have Mzulft, who is going to be the tanner / butcher, and was named by Zulifer. And finally, Sophia, who is going to be the fisher dwarf, is being named by Emerald. That is the 4 new dwarves. So as we go back to Dwarf Fortress and we take a look at them in a bit more detail, we can see that Bronzebeard is actually married to Mzulft, so they've come as a pair. I'm just double checking now if he's a vampire now, but I'm very curious. So he's a member of the Braided Bolt, he's a former member of the Considerate Syrups, former member of the Pick of Boats, and a former member of the Trust Creed. So 3 different groupings. He hasn't eaten, slept, or drunk anything yet, so we've got to keep an eye on this Bronzebeard fella. Got some traits here. He's skinny, silver eyes are narrow, his very long sideburns are braided, very long moustache, neatly combed, medium length beard. Nothing about being pale skinned or anything. Incredibly quick to heal, indefatigable and tough. So he should be happily smelting away at the forge, sweat dripping down, and he's just forging these weapons without, relentlessly. Typical dwarven blacksmith. So absolutely detests moon snails. Strange creatures. Very good creativity, great for a blacksmith I suppose, good intuition, the ability to focus, and good kinesthetic sense. Little willpower, iffy sense for music, little linguistic ability, and the list goes on. Very assertive, although often nervous, candid and sincere, strives for excellence. So yeah, he's got all the makings of a good craft dwarf, a good blacksmith, a bit of good focus, strives for excellence, good creativity and intuition, so he's there. But yeah, we're going to keep an eye on him. He seems to be a little bit of a potential candidate. Although he has come with his wife, doesn't have a whole host of sons either, or daughters, so he's not too bad. Lots of aunts and uncle. Oh, it looks like we've got some family affairs here. Glod, who was came in our previous migration wave, is actually his uncle. So that's a promising sign. And he worships Ustuth. And he's a passing acquaintance of Sophia and Nizek. Okay, so that's Bronzebeard. Keep an eye on him, eh? So he was married to Mzulf down here, who is the Tanner Butcher. So if we go and have a look at her, she had a fine drink, so she's had a drink, so we're safe with her. She's been a former member of the Pick of Boats and Trust Creed. 49, very fat, silver eyes, eyebrows extremely low, very deep voice, her hair is incredibly straight. Her 3 lobed ears are broad, with a short head. Incredibly tough, but she is susceptible to disease and very slow to heal. Somewhat reserved, she lives life at a leisurely pace. She's pessimistic, prefers familiar routines, and regards intellectual exercises as a waste of energy. Okay, so that's good old Zolft. And if you have a look at her relationships, yeah, come across with Bronzebeard. There's a few distant relations. I wonder if she's related to any of the dwarves that we have in our fortress at the moment. She's brought across a pet drake called Stukos. So that's her with a pet, and now Sandal has a pet as well. And she worships 3 gods, and she's acquaintances with Saphir and Glod. Looks like they might have possibly come from the same group at some point in the past. These new dwarves. So that's Bronzebeard and Mazult. Next up on the list, Ambrose, the doctor, or the doctor to be when we get a hospital set up. Talked with his spouse. He's married to Sophia. So this wave of 4 dwarves have come in 2 pairs. Bronzebeard and Mazult, and Ambrose and Sophia, 2 couples. And they have 1 child together, although they haven't brought the child with them. He's been a former member of the Lash of Discoveries, Playful Cave, Stable Boulder. Again, another long list of groups that he's come from. He's also very fat, straight hair, long sideburns that are braided, a very long moustache that's arranged in double braids, and long beard which is braided, and hair that is braided, with an upturned nose, wide-set protruding silver eyes, and high eyebrows, with light brown hair, and he's very slow to heal. But it doesn't matter, he's a doctor. I'm sure he'll cope. And he's very active. So that's Ambrose. We have a look at his relationships. He's brought his wife with him. He's got 1 daughter who's in the middle of nowhere somewhere, maybe being looked after by the grandparents perhaps, in another fortress somewhere. Anything else? Is he related? Oh, he's a passing acquaintance of Horston, our manager. So they've met up at somewhere in the past. And finally, if we look to Sophia, who is the fisher dwarf, who's going to be venturing out and putting herself in danger to catch some fish. She's had a fine drink, admired a fine table, talked with her spouse. She's 52, scrawny, clean-shaven hair, peach skin and silver eyes, and she's weak. Oh well, she has to fish. She doesn't have to be Hercules, does she? Shortage of patience, poor creativity and poor focus, but a good or a great kinesthetic sense and willpower. She's eager for new experiences. Very confident and organised, and she thinks it's very important to strive for excellence. I agree, dear. I agree indeed. So that is the 4 new dwarves, named, prepped, laboured and ready to go. So, excellente. For the time being, what I've done is I've put the new arrivals on stone detailing. The doctor won't have anything else to do because we don't have a hospital. The tanner and butcher might have a few things to do because we have a tannery and a butcher shop waiting to be constructed. So we'll take stone detailing. Well, we'll leave it on for now, but she will have other things to do. The fisher dwarf can help with the stone detailing to start with, and of course the blacksmith metal worker doesn't have anything to do yet because we don't have a forge set up, so he can also help with the stone detailing. So a lot of stone detailing going on to get this dining room finished, and when that is finished we can take those off. So that's the dwarves. That's everything sorted for now. We're fast approaching 20 minutes, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up things from the last session and get them sorted. Apparently this bridge retracts and doesn't raise up as a drawbridge. I chose the wrong setting, so straight away here something to sort out. So we need to remove this bridge and reconstruct it as a drawbridge. That's the first thing. The second thing is, here in the stockpile level, I did want some stairs to lead up. Now I couldn't figure out how to build upstairs, but I do know how to do it now. You go to B for building, capital C for construction, and then we go to U for upstairs, and we can actually place the upstairs like that. And if we go up a level, if we get out, oh wait a minute, I need to put a material to make them out of. We make them out of mudstone, and then if we go back up a level, bear with me, there we go, so there, and then we mine out some downstairs there. They should correspond together. So we can still mine out the downstairs on this level, but on the lower level, because it's already been dug out, we can't obviously mould them into steps. We have to actually construct some external steps. So that should... No. Bear with me here, this is not going well. D for designate, J for downward stairs. There we go. That should be it. So they should correspond with the stairs downstairs. So they're the constructed upstairs, and they'll be the mined out downstairs. Right. Okay. So basically, this is just going to give our dwarves an extra staircase to access the stockpile area a little bit more swiftly. Right. So that's sorted. Anything else I need to address from the last session? I'm trying to think. Before the trade caravan arrives, we might as well keep the game paused. Our woods dwarf is collecting more wood. We've got plenty of wood, but we're going to need it to burn lots of charcoal. We've got our farm set up here after the dining room and bedroom was sorted. We need some more doors, which I think we are getting. Yeah, rock doors have been produced, mechanisms as well, statues, coffers and cabinets for the noble's bedroom, so they're all sorted. Some more things to construct. If we go B for building, W for workshops, these two should be built. This is the tanner shop and the butcher shop. We now have a tanner / butcher, so she should come down at the next available opportunity and build those, as should our new fisher dwarf build the fishery. But there is also a couple of other shops that we can build on this level that link in nicely with the farmer's workshop, which is here, and that is a loom, which is O. Apparently a loom makes cloth from processed fibre threads, I believe. So if we build this here, once we process the pigtails into pigtail thread here, a task will automatically be sent to the loom here, and it will be sort of made into cloth. So it's handy to have this down on this level, which means that having a clothier's workshop next to that is also not a bad idea. So although we don't have a weaver or anybody that can clothes make yet, we'll just put those in so that we don't forget about them. So that's that. And at the bedroom level, we're just waiting for some doors as well. F5, there we go, so just waiting for some doors there. So everything from the last session has been covered that I made a boob on. So we'll unpause it and wait for the dwarven caravan to arrive. Of course, in-depth analysis of all the various dwarves and their personalities and traits, speak of the devils, will not be anywhere near as possible when you start getting bigger migration waves. Currently I've been lucky, I've got migration waves of just 4 and 4, so I can sort of take the time to analyse our companions in quite a bit of detail. I have seen dwarven waves of 30 dwarves happen. So when you get to that number, and your fortress starts to grow and grow to 60, 70, 80, 100 plus dwarves, taking the time to delve into the depths of the deepest, darkest secrets of all your dwarves is going to be nigh on impossible. So I'm taking the time to do it now whilst it's still a possibility. The rampaging elephants still rampaging through the lands here, whilst the trade caravan appears to be walking on water. I'm not going to complain, it means they're going to get here in one piece, so I'm happy with that.